All right, Maura, thank you. And early voting begins Monday in the U.S. Senate runoff election. But absentee voting may become more difficult in Georgia after the runoff is over. 11 Alive's Liza Lucas at the bridge taking a closer look at the restrictions Republican lawmakers are hoping to pass.
Good morning, Sheba. Yes, Georgia Republicans are proposing changes that can make signature matching more stringent and could also eliminate drop boxes going forward. Now, just a little bit of context when we talk about absentee ballots, a look at the difference here. 2018, 5% of Georgia voters voted absentee. 2020, 25% of voters used absentee ballots. And we know from those votes that the absentee ballots really drove Joe Biden's victory here in Georgia. So a little more context on the framework that the legislation is being proposed. It appears to be designed to respond to President Donald Trump's repeated and false claims that mail voting is filled with fraud. Now, right now, voters don't need to provide a reason to request an absentee ballot here in Georgia as they do in some other states. Republican state lawmakers could write a bill requiring that change. They could require a signature match verified by a notary public, as some other states require, and they could also eliminate the drop boxes many Georgia counties started using this year. Now, Democrats say that Republicans are trying to solve absentee ballot problems that don't really exist, also pointing out such changes would unwind rules a Republican majority put in place. Now, this has been a big talker on our 11 Alive Facebook page. We've had hundreds of comments, a lot of them partisan, as you can imagine. Very spicy conversation. But Diane and Carol, they wanted to bring up points of the pandemic and how that influenced their choice to use absentee by mail ballots this time around. Diane in particular saying normally she goes to her polling place, but she just didn't feel safe in 2020. So just some points there. And we should also point out that election officials have repeatedly said there is no evidence of widespread fraud.